Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So all members are present. I like motion, well, before I do that, if there is anybody from the public that wants to make a comment to the board, they will need to go over to the table and read the script and fill out the form to make a public comment. At the end, we will reserve about 30 minutes for public comments, but will only get 3 minutes to speak on the topic. The board will not respond unless the chair allows it. Okay. Before we go on, I would like to remove from the receive and file A4. I want them to get their July 1 reward, but I want to have Brandon come in and discuss the rest of it, so.
So just point of clarification, you've asked all the department heads to submit agenda items by Thursday, but you can pull it off the agenda
Right.
Tuesday morning.
Some of them don't even do it by Friday. Because they call and ask me to put it on there.
Right.
I think I have the power to do that, right?
No, it's,
Can I pull things off the agenda?
no,
It
it's,
generally has to be voted on.
Okay. That's what we're gonna do.
I'll move that. What you want?
So second.
Discussion?
I think we need to leave it on there.
Well,
It was submitted.
okay, we have a vote on it. Roll call.
Chairman Bell,
Nay.
Supervisor Miller,
Wait a second.
Yes.
The motion was to
No,
remove.
move. Okay. A. Yes, sorry.
motion is to remove 4A from received and filed.
And to
Chairman
approve
Bell
the
is
consent
A.
agenda.
Supervisor Miller,
Just point, is the motion also to approve the consent agenda?
No.
That's a separate item.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm an A.
okay, Supervisor Shea,
Nay.
Supervisor Jorgensen,
Aye.
Supervisor Wickman,
Okay. Now, after discussion was held by the board, motion was made and seconded to approve the consent agenda.
as amended.
That's been.
Second.
Discussion? None. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, first up, we have Lisa Bringle, is that correct?
Yes.
And then we got Cheryl Oldenkamp and Kaylin Bishop. I get them all right?
You
Three for
did.
three?
You did well.
Well, welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
What, Suzanne, you want to tell us each one's position and then they can tell us a little bit about themselves?
Sure. So, the three of them will all be disability service navigators for our new disability access point, which officially kicks off today. So we're excited that we were able to get them starting on the first day of our new service. So they all come with a wealth of experience. So we were very lucky to get them when we right off the start. So yeah, I'll let them tell you each where they come from and what they've done. And then their supervisor, Lonnie, is right behind me, and you guys know Lonnie. So
Yes.
so Lisa, you want to start?
So, yesterday I finished 18 and a half years with Cherokee County.
Wow.
Yeah, I started there in 2006 as the central point of coordination. I don't know how long you guys have been around, but, that was a while back. And I did case management, supervision, administration. So I've been around a while and I joined our region, up in Northwest Iowa. So that's what I've been doing the last 18 and a half years. And so really believe in being involved with the county and the local control. And so I'm just really excited to be involved and to stay with that local connection. So,
Stay tuned because it could change again.
you know what? I'm used to the change. There's been a lot of change over the years. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm excited to be with the leadership and
good.
You're
So-
in a good place.
Welcome aboard.
thank you.
Yes, and then Kaylin Bishop. So I actually worked for the same mental health region with Lisa, so we came over together. I covered Buena Vista County was my home county, but I also covered Crawford and Carroll. I was with the region for 3 years, and prior to that, I worked in the disability realm. I took care of intellectually disabled children for Hope Haven since I came out of college in 2018. Started working there in 2014, so my background was a little different. I'm excited to stay with the county. I love providing services locally, especially being from a smaller community. Those local services are really important for those small communities that can't get to the bigger areas. So I'm very excited to take this on and continue doing the services that I love and am passionate about serving. And excited to see how the changes go and to be a part of this new district.
I'm Cheryl, and I'm based in Sioux City. I worked as a targeted case manager for Woodbury County for 17 years. And then I transitioned over to United Healthcare MCO case management. Of course, you may know that United Healthcare passed and didn't renew with Iowa. So then I worked in a nursing home for a short period of time, and then I became a national certified guardian and worked with different populations, from elderly to intellectually disabled, mentally ill, and I did that for 5 years. And then I decided it was time for something new.
Welcome aboard, ladies.
Thank you.
Thanks for making the drive down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could say you three ladies come down just to meet us.
Yeah, they're this
Yes, yes.
first day of employment, so.
Wanted to see where their boss is from.
Yeah. So their next appointment's with HR, so that's where we're going right now. So we're get them on board and get them going.
Yeah, Lisa, how many counties will you be working in then?
I won't actually have counties. It's just more of the cases that are near me. So right now, my caseload, and that might change with Kaylin, but I have some in Buena Vista and Ida County. Obviously, I'm in Cherokee, so I have some in Cherokee. I have some up in the Primgar area, some in the Lamar's area. So it's just kind of all around where I'm centrally located.
And Kaylin, well, these people won't be working in specific counties.
So not specific counties, so they'll be covering areas more.
Mhm.
So we're not, while we have 27 counties we work in, they can all work throughout the district. Just depends on where the people are that need the services. And so it'll be closest to where they live in their own communities is how we'll disperse them out. Just depend on who's calling, who needs services, and who can get to them the fastest and
Okay.
most economically. So,
Suzanne?
Yeah.
Will they be working from their homes?
yeah, so combination. So imagine a lot of the paperwork time, they'll be doing things from their home, and otherwise they'll be in the community, meeting people in like provider agencies, places where people typically walk into for services. We'll have our signs up certain days of the week saying, hey, the disability access point is here in your local community, and they'll be stationed there some days too. So just a variety, just a kind of different way of, a new way of doing business. So we're up for the challenge.
So, I mean, they all have like laptops or in the work room,
Yep,
so everything.
our IT department is,
paperless.
yep, got them already set up on their computers and phones, and Yeah, paperless is our goal.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you all. Yeah,
Thank you. Thanks, Suzanne, for
Thanks for coming in.
navigating this whole transition.
We made it to July 1.
What year?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies. Andrew, you gonna come up?
Yeah, you want us to come up?
Oh, that'd be nice. Or don't always have to sit in the back row.
It's the best spot.
Haley Deal. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, so Haley is on day 3. She's a new clerk in the office and she keeps coming back. We've thrown a lot at her, but she'll be our marriage expert and kind of handle the marriage process. So
Okay.
excited to have her.
What's your background, Laura?
Not much. I've worked at plenty of different places, but this is my first time in this kind of area of work, so,
Around here?
yes, I've always lived in Council Bluffs, so.
Good.
Thank
I
you.
think you have a decent group over there. They'll take care of you.
Yes, they're all pretty
It's pretty
nice.
good.
Oh, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Mr. Reed, Director EMA, Chris Nilsson, Analyst GIS. I see Jamie's here too, to make sure Chris stays where he's supposed to. Up on the status, the water, in Avoca and the Regional Water Operations Dashboard. Take it away.
Well, good morning. Just a quick operational update on the water situation we've been dealing with since 10th. The regional water utility has remained in a level red advisory for all of their folks, which at the end of the day authorizes water rationing if needed, but also a lot of restrictions on regular stuff, right? Washing your car, watering your lawns, those kind of things. Basically, water use is advised for only human consumption, food preparation, sanitation, and public safety. That's where the system is at right now, which you can see on this great dashboard that we'll get to here in a little bit. They're continuing to work on connecting a temporary pump into the booster station project, which connects regional water system to Council Bluffs Waterworks. Water would basically also be operating as a bulk water purchaser from Council Bluffs Waterworks, like they do for some of the areas. Underwood, Weston areas right now off of that. So the operational focus for them in doing that is really to relieve the pressure on their well fields that are more times than not operating 24/7 a day, which obviously continuously, I think kind of the standard is beyond 30 days, you can start seeing some maintenance issues popping up when pumps are running that hard and that long. So this past weekend, the plant wasn't able to shut down based on water supply usage. So it's running continuously again right now. And the overall project was set to be done in October with a permanent pump at that location just north of Highway 6 out towards the east end of the county. And that's still on schedule for that. What this is, a temporary pump that's being borrowed by another regional water utility, in north central Iowa, so we can get some more water into the system to hopefully avoid this as we get into more drier and hotter conditions in the summer and late summer. So that's kind of where we're at. That project has been plagued with challenges in getting that project done. First, the piping had a lot of pressurization challenges leaks, things of that nature, the seals wouldn't hold or whatnot. So they finally got that rectified, went through the bacterial testing, got that all done. And, so when they thought they were ready to start flowing water from the Council Bluffs connection through the temporary pump and into their system, it overall did not have enough pressure to fill up their water tower 5, which is down here, north of the Lord, is where that water will directly go through their system.
North of where?
Just kind of north of the Neola area,
Okay,
Tower 5. I believe it's on the north side of the interstate too.
yeah.
If I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that. So they looked at, they had some engineers out trying to troubleshoot the problems. There were no major leaks that were found. There was, they bled a lot of the air out of the lines that was still in there, thinking maybe that was part of the problem. They only gained maybe about 50 to 60 PSI off of those efforts. So they had engineers come back in. It was determined they need to put some larger pipe going out of the pump because it's all plumbed for 2-inch. So they've increased that up to 4-inch, I believe, and they're working on that now. So they got all their parts in a day and a half earlier than what they thought over the weekend. And so they were hopefully to have all the replumbing of the booster site done by end of day yesterday. We haven't heard an update from Regional Water last night or yet this morning that I've seen. So that's kind of still pending. After that happens, then they'll test it and see if they're getting enough pressure to be able to hit and fill up Tower 5. At the end of the day, we're still, and when I say we, myself, the emergency managers from Harrison County and Audubon counties have been working together on this issue, are just cautioning all of our folks to, that the anticipation is that the level red action level or level yellow, the step just below that, will probably remain in place, is our best guess right now through the entirety of the summer. Because this connection coming from Council Bluffs right now, being a temporary, just kind of emergency surge, is only gonna provide about 20,000 additional gallons of water a day, if I remember right from our last deal. And then that will, bump up, obviously, when they get their permanent pump in, it'll double that capacity. But I think it might be 40,000 a day. Because the thing that concerns us is with folks in level red, the highest conservation order they have, there's a lot of businesses that have changed, their water use profiles, or they've switched over to, say, some ag producers confinements, may have switched over to they're still operating, or still maintaining a well on their property. So they're using that instead of regional waters. In Audubon County, there's an electrical producer that is completely off of regional water right now. And they're operating off of their legacy well system. And just that one electrical utility alone can use, if they were just operating normal, their complete operations off of regional water like they normally do outside of restrictions, they would use almost the entirety of the water that we're bringing in through this temporary pump. So again, even though it will help by giving them an opportunity to get some more water into the towers and feed through the system, it will really benefit them being able to shut off their well field pumps and keep them maintained so we don't have problems right there. Right now, they're pulling from the well fields about 730 gallons per minute, but they're putting out of the plant 760 gallons per minute. And it's been that way pretty much the entirety of the incident. So, like I said, it's not something where we feel that everybody's out of the woods once this water starts flowing. They do have another plan to run a parallel, very large line along this pipeline, goes up, through the Minden area, kind of Tower 5 site, that will significantly increase the water they can bring into the system. But that's of no use right now because that project's right now typically scheduled to be like 3 years out for completion.
When did they make this decision?
they had it on the books, I think, as like a 5-part, a project for like 5 to 7 years down the road. But I think with what we're seeing, they've decided to bump that up, and it's scheduled to be, for the next 3 years. And so again, that really doesn't, help us in the moment, right? So even though this temporary pump is a good thing, and may be able to help us, it certainly won't take everything on the map from red to green, and just be a situation where they can use water like they normally would without thinking about conservation. So, again, good news, still has to come with caution and preparedness. We certainly, at least from an emergency management perspective, as do all of our communities and customers on the system, want to avoid another situation, especially during the summer, of having low water pressures or times where towers are just completely empty and people don't have access. So, that's at least our focus. We have put out the recommendation that maybe wasn't appreciated as much by the utility, but we have recommended to our communities that are bulk users. We have one in this county, the city of Avoca. Audubon has several, Shelby, that, whether you can rehab, your old wells or something, or look for an additional water supplier, as a backup, it's important. I don't know all the facts behind it, but as I understand, a lot of these communities that went on regional water system, there was a requirement by DNR that, if your wells and your stuff isn't exercised so long, then you basically have to abandon those and usable anymore. And so that's the case with a lot of these communities and areas that previously did their own water that switched. And so they really don't have an emergency backup, say like a farmer that still maintains their well, or a farm residential property that can, turn that back on and not take anything from the system. So a couple operational concerns we had just for our county. Of course, we got the county fair coming up in Avoca, in the heat of the summer. So, we need water. They've worked out an arrangement with the city of Walnut, and Walnut will be trucking in water for fair operations, so they can still take care of animals, take care of what they need to do, still have all the events that they're doing, things like that. So that's their use, I think, last year, off of the regional system was probably about 40,000 gallons, if I remember correctly. So that's kind of where they're slated at. So
Per day or for the week?
for the week, I believe they've been through that, stuff like maintaining the track for all their, their events, and taking care of the animals and cleaning the animals, those kind of things. So, we're in fairly good shape as that goes, just operating with a watchful eye each day. With that said, there's been real good coordination with partners, from the other counties, between the emergency management agency. It's working like it should. We're talking every day. A lot of you have been involved with, 3 times a week, we're doing a briefing for local officials. If we're getting an update from regional water and state staff, we've been putting out, our office has been working with the other EMA offices. They provide us the information. We put together 4-county situation report, that goes out to officials that you've seen. I think today will be our 20th, that we've done on this deal. And then some other great things that have happened too, just here in Pot County specific. Shout out to Kate, who's been here, who has been a blessing. Thank you for filling that position finally. Because with everything else going on, it's great to have professionals that know something about that exact profession that can do things a lot quicker and a lot more sensibly than I can sometimes, right? So it's a great resource to have to help make sure that we're saying the things that we need to say to the public appropriately, and then physically getting up in all the places should be the website and social media and to our media partners. So that's been a great thing. We saw that with our previous and last year's disaster events. It's continuing on at a great level. So thank you for making that decision. It's something that's beneficial. And then you have these 2 guys here from GIS that absolutely never waver when we have an emergency or disaster. They are always there. I finally remembered when this thing kicked off, to include them in the meetings up front. And it's like everything else, they don't like last minute surprises, but they usually, when they see me on the caller ID, they know that their agenda for the day is about to change. Because that's just the way it works sometimes. So we got them involved early, and they started participating in the coordination meetings with State Homeland Security, the utility, the 4 county emergency managers, Iowa DNR, and folks like that. They're like, hey, if you're looking at a way to get information out for your use, but also for the public, we think we can do something fairly easily. And again, if we would have had this beforehand, public relations would have been a lot easier. Operational decision-making could have occurred a lot easier. But again, this obviously isn't a public utility in the sense that it's within our domain and this is our responsibility. But, you know, the nice thing about a lot of your departments and the department heads is, you know, when the chips are down in this county, everybody's just right there, ready to do what needs to be done to serve the needs of the people. So this came out of their vision and their capability. You know, they do a lot of things that people don't even know about. But their partnership and their dedication to serving the county and serving the people is outstanding. And it's a very important relationship that we have with the GIS department, because it just makes things so much easier, so much more efficient. And they've partnered with us on a lot of things and more things in the future. So I just wanted to publicly thank them for that. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of turn it over to Chris here so he can kind of talk about the stuff that they did. I don't. Thank you for attending those meetings.
Thanks, Doug. So like the coordination meeting, you know, at the beginning, we've had some of the data for regional water, but we didn't have all the region because it wasn't in our county. So we started just, you know, we got to get the information, get it mapped out so we can make our own decisions. Doug has the information available. And then when we were in the local briefing meetings, we kept hearing the mayors and the clerks saying, our citizens they want to know, they want information, transparency, you know, all the typical things. And we thought, well, we're providing an answer for them. We can make something that the regional water can use to give that to the public. And you know, Jamie and myself, both being rural residents, you know, growing up, you know, felt, you know, this is important. There's a lot of community out there that's probably, you know, not a big population, but, you know, they need that information too, and they need the support. So we thought it'd be a good chance for, you know, us to lend our support. And I can say, you know, with all this, you know, we learned a lot about the water system. And also to add is we've, since we launched this dashboard like June 6th, we've had like 1,300 views on the dashboard. Our tower information has had like 5,000 views. So it's been getting used. So we think what we did worked, at least for some people. And also to add, we've been hands off after pretty much once we got this going. There was a couple tweaks, but all this information is being served through us, but we're hands off. The regional water has all the tools to edit this data. So we don't have to go in and do anything. We just got it up and kind of stood it up for them and got them a tool that they could use to give their citizens and try to help everybody out and also help us, you know what's going on at the same time.
Good job, Joe.
Well said.
And to give you an idea of the work they do, and they were instrumental in helping paint the picture and maintain stuff in 2024 when we did the GIS linked system for people to get on and say, hey, I'm from here. Here's my immediate needs. Here's my long-term needs. I need some help with this, that, and that's stuff that we were asked about by folks that come in working as contractors for the state, because, you know, there's just so much impact statewide through all the last spring and summer. You know, and we were able to link additional partners. had that thing up and running for a while when, they saw the devastating floods up in Spencer and areas like that, and their, emergency manager got a hold of us like, hey, can you link your folks? We've heard about your tool that you're using down here. Can you put your GIS folks in touch with my GIS folks? Because this is not good. And so they've done that. It's already, they probably won't tell you right now, but I'll brag on them a little bit. They've already received questions about, well, is this something that every regional water can use, kind of a deal? I mean, it's easy enough to share the information on how to put it together, send it to them, they can tailor it, their professionals can tailor it, whatever that looks like. Even us moving from our daily operations brief out of the emergency operations center, that went from us spending a lot of time putting everything together manually, creating PDFs and sending out manual emails to make it happen, on a daily basis. You can automate it on the website, but also through a daily email subscription service through the county website. They did that work. And we've already got other counties, that are like, because we share information across the state, especially the metro areas. And so we've even got, some sizable counties in the state going, we need to have a discussion because we need to implement something like this. That's the level of professional work that this department can do. And it's important work, and it's not stuff that everybody knows about or sees. So think about them in budget time, because they do things not only to support everybody, but they do it when the chips are down for our people, and they also serve an emergency response role. So, are there any questions about the ongoing water deal?
I've got three real quick ones for you.
Three?
Yeah. I mean, it shouldn't take you long to answer these. What water line is feeding Tower 5?
I think it comes from that Sue Johnson Tower. I can't say 100%, but that's kind of what I've heard in conversation, that it's off of that, kind of that line that goes to that tower and stuff.
So the new one, the one they just put in?
Sue Johnson's the one by.
I know where, yeah, it's up by
Yeah.
West Fair, but. So you're talking the new line that was just installed feeds Tower 5.
Well, yeah, so it comes from like,
It goes up past,
it comes from a connection over in the Sue Johnson Tower area, whether it's at the tower, somewhere where that line comes in. Feeds off to the new line that's constructed that parallels Highway 6 and then kicks, just a little bit north, crosses under Silver Creek. That line then goes up to their Tower 5, I believe.
okay. Is there any piping from tower to tower?
They're all interconnected.
They are.
So for an example, that's how they can, until it gets too bad, mitigate some losses of heavy use in the system. So like, for example, yesterday, Tower 6, which is their main tower, so their Avoca treatment plant, feeds into Tower 6, which is the one on the north side of Avoca, and then it feeds out to the other tower sites.
Okay, so this new line,
And so like yesterday when Tower 6 got like very, very low, they were able to throttle back the intake that was going to the other towers to help that recover. So it covered from 5 or 6 foot up to 15 foot during that, and put them in a little bit better place.
okay, so the new line that they just put in, that's providing help for Avoca.
It will, directly or indirectly, I can't say, but at the end of the day, what will happen now is this will supplement the water going into the system right now. That stuff might not directly flow back to Tower 6. I don't know how their plumbing works, or what their directional is on this stuff. It might not go directly 6 and flow into or out of a tap in Avoca or something like that. But all the towers are connected and it will feed through. But the big benefit, at least right now, is if that water's enough to supplement what's going to come in through this temporary pump into the system to where they can shut from continuously pumping at their well field. That'll give more time for those wells to recover in depth Then when that kicks back in, when it needs to pump more water, then you can keep a more steady, stable level in all the towers to feed the entire system. I think even if like Tower 6 goes down, which is the main one that the Avoca plant goes into, they still have like 1.2-ish million gallons of water in the system itself.
So Chris, do you have the water lines on a map somewhere? I thought maybe you would.
Yeah, we got the water lines, juicer stations and all the customers. So we have basically all the data for the regional water now.
What about firefighting? Village, so there's no restrictions on those kinds of issues that come up.
Well, there's no regulated restrictions that would come up. There'd certainly be a restriction on the capacity side. If the towers, aren't holding enough water, which was one of our primary concerns when it was kicked off early. We were seeing multiple towers reading 0. But what happens if one of our small communities like Avoca or one of the other ones have, that classic, we never want to have the old downtown fire because all those buildings are connected. A lot of them have, open common spaces, things like that. It would be bad. And if it is low already, then you could, easily set the system dry and cause a lot of problems and lose an area like that. So there's some of the reason you saw, either partial or full burn bans, in ours and some of the counties for that. We've got a good backup, for like the community of Avoca, right? So their tower went dry. Part of the town didn't have service, for a while. But we were okay. When they transitioned over, they filled a large water tank there in town. I think they've got maybe just over 500,000 gallons of water, not drinking water, but water that could be used and do, tanker shuts, things like that. So
Then industrial water, Jack's Links is an example, the open packing plant is an example. I mean, are there restrictions on those water use or do they have their own water supplies? I'm not sure.
I can't speak for each, like obviously Oakland's not on that system, but a business like it will say, or a hog confinement, that's a little bit bigger. That's between them and rural water, how they're managing that. And we don't, some of them on the ag side of it, or even the industrial side, like we talked about the power plant up in Ogden, they've got some still operating wells that they operated before they were served by rural water. So in a cooperation between rural waters management and that particular customer, they're talking about how much they should or shouldn't be using and things like that. But in past water emergencies, we've also seen the opposite reaction where it's like, hey, we're getting kind of dangerous in our water situation, so start using your well and things like that. And what we've seen before are some people opening up that spigot and topping off their wells. So they know that they're not gonna run out if it's a prolonged deal, which, has the opposite reaction on the system than the one at the time, so. But that's kind of between the utility and those customers.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks, Jimmy.
Yep.
Thanks, Chris.
Well, you gentlemen did a good job. Appreciate your.
Appreciate the update.
Uh-huh. I assume you all got my email last week.
Yeah,
Okay. We'll be in a conversation.
I'll put that on agenda next week.
Um,
You want to do a resolution? What do you decide you want to do?
Well, everybody's looking at that stuff right now, so I'd encourage you to participate in the Wednesday and Friday meetings if you're able to get a general sense. And I would say probably after this week or, when we get some things kind of flushed out between 4 counties, we can further that conversation. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Friday's a holiday.
Some of us are always working stuff.
Okay. I don't know about that. I see your messages come across.
My guys.
Closed.
Thank
We'll be closed this day and this day.
Yeah, we'll obviously be foregoing Friday's meeting.
Yeah.
Tomorrow for sure.
I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, thanks.
Yep. Okay, next up, David Byer, Chief Information Officer, Information Technology, discussion and or decision to authorize David Byer, Chief Information Officer, to sign the cybersecurity MOU with the state of Iowa.
Morning, I've got an easy one for you. This is simply an MOU with the state to provide CrowdStrike software, which is the endpoint detection and response software for the auditor's office. The state Secretary of State requires that for their office because they run elections. And so this is just the agreement with the state for them to provide the software that we install on their computers. There's no money here.
On the state's computers.
What's that?
On the state's computers,
On the auditor's computers,
our computers.
our computers.
Okay.
Yep,
They're doing that statewide.
For elections only?
for auditor's office only. Yep,
Is this a renewal of a contract or?
correct. This is the second one. We did one 2 years ago. This is just the renewal, if you will.
Make a motion to approve. A second.
So. Thank you. This contract that I've got, David, says it started in 3/1 of 25.
Correct. Yep.
So that's not an annual renewal.
No, this is, the last one was about a year and a half of time. And this new one will be 1 year. You
Okay.
can see it ends on June 30th, 2026.
Yeah, I see
They
that.
just got this to us last week.
Right, and then it says that the start date will be when, what's his name, signs it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Do you use CrowdStrike on anything else other than for any particular reason?
What's that?
Any particular reason why?
Well, we're happy with Trellix is what we use on the rest of the county. That used to be called FireEye, it's called Trellix now, but we've been very, very happy with it elsewhere. So we stick with what we like.
Okay.
Not that we don't like CrowdStrike, but we like Trellix as well.
I don't understand. Other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank
Do
you.
you want this, David?
Thank you.
Just it?
I've got one here too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. I had one other question. Kristen, did you see that? Okay, thanks. Mitch K, Chief Financial Officer, discussion and or decision to authorize Mitchell K to Chief Financial Officer to sign and administer all forms associated with Sandoz opioid settlement. Sandu, who is it?
Sandoz, I guess. So this is just tied to the National Opioid Abatement Settlement Fund. We're participating subdivision within this, so there's a tentative agreement between Sandoz and the settlement group, which we have basically 14 days to agree to sign on to. And basically our portion of the settlement means that we are not going to pursue litigation against any of these companies other than what the settlement allows here. The restrictions and the uses of the funds will be the same as all the other opioid funds that comes through. I believe this settlement is like $99,500,000, but now that's divided between all the states and all the counties across the country that were participating subdivisions. The actual amount that will come to us will be dependent on how many people sign off on it. This will probably end up being a smaller portion that comes to us, and from what I've got through, it'll end up being like a one-time payment that'll come to us in 2026. So this is similar to all the other opioid settlements we've had. I did send settlements up to legal just to glance through it, but it's pretty standard for what a lot of these settlements are coming through, and just wanted to get authorization. Since we need to sign it within 14 days to get onto the website and sign the forms and move this forward for us as well.
Like that, I'll make the motion.
A second. Their discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Do you have the original?
I do it through their website, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Next up, we have Mary Ann Hanusa. She, right, yeah. Discussion and decision to hire a new real estate specialist for the auditor's office.
Would you like me to move over here or
No, you.
may I stay here? Okay. All right, thank you. So the auditor's office has historically had at least two and sometimes three staff members working in the real estate department. With the recent departure of Linda Swoley, we are now down to one, Brad Swope, who is here. In addition, Brad has also taken on all the responsibilities, as you know, of the drainage districts. And so this position would be, it is creating a new position, but it would be simply restoring the real estate department to two people. I do have the money in my budget to hire this new position, and I would respectfully ask for your approval to do so.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I would like to, kind of combine these both, Mary Ann, both A and B.
Okay,
When, I don't believe this position was addressed at budget time. And, this would be adding a position in the auditor's office.
correct.
I mean, with the termination of Linda, you hired, a deputy for that position, right?
Correct.
Okay,
For the office. You hired a deputy for the office.
okay. And then you're anticipating, but we know that you're gonna have payroll and benefits, so. my
That
issue-
is not a new position, so, but go ahead.
No, but both together, I mean, you're adding a position in
One
the
position,
office.
yes.
When the sheriff came to us and asked us for an additional position at budget time, we knew we didn't have the money for it. So we didn't allow him to add any staff in his office. The jail came to us and said the same thing. We didn't have the additional funds to provide any more staff there. And as you're aware, during budget time, make this budget work. We put in there for $1.2 million of expected interest from the treasurer's office to even make this budget even balanced. And, with the interest rate on that we're collecting now, if that were to change a point or two, let's just say we only have $900,000 of interest next year for a conversation. We're $300,000 short of even making last year's budget work. And when we tell the departments, especially the jail, who could really use some additional employees, that we don't have the money, I just can't provide additional employee in the auditor's office when, we've lost one employee, you've already hired them, hired another person for that, that position or whatever. I don't know what your deputy is going to do. And I just can't support you in this.
Okay, may I explain why I hired the individual I hired as deputy? That might help clarify this. So I, as you know, I, by code of Iowa, I have the right to hire my own deputy, which I did. Jamie Behrens is sitting here. The reason I chose Jamie as opposed to bringing in a deputy that had real estate experience, which Jamie does not, is because when I came in as a brand new auditor, I was quite frankly appalled that with $100 and almost $20 million budget for this county, the auditor's office had a great need for policies and procedures to govern the protection of taxpayer money. Jamie's specialty is in procedures and policies, and that is what I needed to bring somebody into the office to work on protections for the taxpayer dollars, given the the vast amount of financial matters that the auditor's office handles. So for example, one of the things that to give you an example of a policy that needs to be created, when our staff members go to Menards to buy purchases for the county, legitimate purchases for the county. You may all know that Menards frequently gives out 11% rebate coupons. I think it's 11%. There is no policy in this county to deal with those rebates. So I understand that some of our employees simply take that rebate and pocket it for themselves, which I believe is illegal. Some of them send the rebate into the payroll department, which is housed within the auditor's office, and the payroll, accounts payable. And our accounts payable officer came to me and said, how are we supposed to handle these? She said, am I supposed to fill out this rebate and then credit it to that particular budget? Or does it get credited to the general budget? Do I send it back to that department and say, fill it out? And then they try to credit it to that, to their own budget or to the general. And I said, well, what is the policy? We don't have a policy. That's one example of where the taxpayer dollars are not being guarded. And so I felt that it was more important to use my opportunity to hire a deputy to bring in somebody with that experience to put those policies and procedures in place to protect the taxpayer dollars. I have the money in my budget. I understand I'm not asking the board for additional money. I have the money in my budget in a salary line item to hire this position.
But that, wasn't in the budget, is it?
Well, at the time there were budget discussions, I did not understand, I did not know that I would be changing deputies as rapidly as I had the opportunity to do so.
Well, you know, with the jail costing the taxpayers $1.2 million in overtime, I would much rather put that employee at the jail than at the auditor's office. So just me, just wanted to.
Do you have something you want to say?
I was just the interest that you're talking about, Mr. Wickman. We're doing our year end right now. And according to my books that I just put in, there's $4.07 million of interest. And I just took in 53,000 from Mid-States on an investment that I just made for a CD that we have. And that's just June 30th of this year. And then, you know, it's gonna increase. So I just wanted that to know that it's a lot more than.
Well, I didn't address the total interest.
No, I
that
just
your
wanted you to
office
know
is.
that
I
they're.
just talked about the 1.2
Right.
that we use
Understanding.
to balance the budget.
Yeah, I understand.
Actually,
Yeah, thank you.
Brad, Brad, you had something you want to say?
I just wanted to say, you know, I love working here. I appreciate, you know, the job. I'm not afraid of the hard work, but my boat's full, guys. I need some help. If I don't get some help, we're gonna start sinking.
Well, we're already, how many months behind now?
We're only 14 days behind and
Since when?
since when? It's only been 14 days.
No. I have real
That
estate,
report-
I gave her the real estate
That
documents.
is,
That report can be,
No.
yes.
those are sales. Those are
Right,
sales.
how far are we behind?
We don't deal with sales in the auditor's office. Those are sales of homes and properties that you pulled up. Someone put it on your desk. You showed
Who deals with them then?
the assessor's office.
The
We-
assessor.
Okay, so they
And-
have to go and get deeds and stuff from you. Sales
No,
of real estate.
they bring their deeds in, it gets recorded. 24 hours later, it arrives on my desk.
Yeah,
I process it and then send it down to the assessor.
and we're only 2 weeks apart.
We are 2 weeks behind. You can go in and count my folders. There's 14 days.
So do I got a problem over here?
You and I had that conversation
I know.
and I went down and spoke to the assessor's office. They
Never
had
told me
some,
That you went to talk to the assessor's office. What'd they tell you?
in respect I did, but nonetheless, I went and Joe was not there and Kevin was there and explained to me that there is some kind of glitch in their system. When I went down, I believe it was last week, He said that they were caught up to May 13th on sales, but the document that you had showed only April 22nd in terms of being caught up. And he said, I don't understand why this is. We have to look in. It must be a glitch in our system. And then he said to me, Marion, you're good. You're where you say you are at that point. I think it was 13 days. And I said, okay, thank you. I knew that, but I wanted to verify with you and to raise this concern that you had. So there was some kind of glitch. What you were looking at was sales, not the documents that the auditor's office is dealing with. The reason we are only 2 weeks behind, and that's kind of like when you say unemployment is about 94% of people employed, because there's always a movement. 2 weeks behind on what we receive from the recorder's office is basically being kept current. The reason that we are there is because Brad has been working through every lunch. He has been coming in early. He has been coming late. He has taken no time off. And that cannot continue wearing him out to the point that he's.
Oh, I can see it. I can see it. There's no doubt about it.
You have this in your budget.
I do.
I stand by my motion. Mary Ann, we need to have auditors service.
Thank you.
In this case, I would support.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And I think the sooner we can get the folks cross-trained, the better.
Which we are currently doing.
Okay.
Are you cross-training someone in real estate?
Well, actually, yes, and then also in payroll and benefits.
Okay, who are you cross-training in real estate?
Candy is at the front desk. She works with fixed assets and other matters. And she also is helping with real estate at the same time. So but Candy right now is very consumed because we have the state auditor actually in our office right now trying to finish up the 23-24 budget, or excuse me, audit. And so she's not able to help and hasn't been for the last, I don't know, couple of months, I guess. And then we are just beginning Jody on some real estate matters as well. So.
Yeah. Any other discussion?
Just think you're doing a good job building your team.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign.
Aye.
Hearing one, motion passes. Mary Ann Hanusa, auditor, discussion and decision to hire a new payroll benefits coordinator for the auditor's office.
Okay, so this is as you know, Audrey Chafin is retiring after 45 years with the county on July 11th. Her party is on July 10th. Everyone's welcome. However, so this is not ordinarily something that would come before you for consideration because it is simply filling an existing position. However, it has been 29 years since we have hired anyone in the payroll and benefits department. And so we had to reclassify that position and redefine it, and therefore it technically created a new position, although it is not a new position out of the budget. So it's just that it is technically a new position because we had to reclassify it after 29 years and update it. And so that's why it comes before you, but it is not a new expenditure. It is not a new person or a new position in any way. It's just simply a reclassification, which is why it had to come before you for approval.
I'll move that for you.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Marianne, what is, grade 520, step 1? What is the pay rate for that?
Oh, the bottom is, I don't know. Janet, do you know?
2701.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank
Mary
you.
Ann,
You know what?
things are looking
Okay.
good over there. Thank you.
Update, Jeff? Past week? Thanks, Lee.
Yep. Hey.
I'm trying to remember, I was at the trails meeting. Of course, I had trying to get things going on with that trails across Potawatomi County and hooking up with other networks. And so I certainly wholeheartedly support that effort. Good.
Okay, Brian?
Went to a trails meeting, went to another one, and then the chamber. That was a pretty interesting luncheon. Then the Council Bluffs Visitor Bureau. And Advanced Southwest Iowa.
New Year. I attended a session at Golden Hills where we were working with Hungry Canyons on their contract. I attended a SWIPCO meeting, the rural water briefing last Friday. I represented WIDA at a ribbon cutting for a new business in Oakland, Paws and Pastures. It's a really great little shop, so you'll have to check it out. And I went with Brian to the CB Chamber luncheon to talk about the county's goals, what the county plans are. And I just commented to them on how refreshing it was to speak with a board with good governance, goals, and collaboration. And I would hope that with the new year, perhaps this board would consider moving in that direction as well.
Well, that's your own personal opinion about the board, so I would disagree on this board not being collaborative and looking forward for the county and the citizens, so. They're not perfect people, that's for sure. MAPPA meeting, EMA meeting with the water, went to the poverty, deal in Harlan, poverty workshop, very well attended by multiple counties. Went to the 911 to listen to the state tell us how they're going to take some of our money from the phone usage. Went to the community meeting for bringing people out of near homelessness and homelessness. And then the lights up at Smith's Reserve out there on the way to Underwood. So if you get a chance, you'll have to wait until the sun goes down to see the light work. So
Cool.
I'd like to say I appreciate this, to know what each of us are doing. Really helps to keep us up on what's going on. So I appreciate that little thing.
There's one thing I would like to add. Ending on a happy note, wishing Susan Miller happy birthday. And of course, this Friday is the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. So happy.
49
249
this year.
this year.
Next year's 250.
Well, so, all right,
Beginning the 250th.
Yes.
You're right.
you're right. Thank you for correct. All right.
okay, we got any public comment?
We do. Yes. Jason Bliley.
Are we not going to speak today on the possible sale of the Mount Crescent facility?
It's not on the agenda.
Nothing on the agenda.
Want to speak on it anyway?
Well, is it the comment section right now?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're free to comment. Yeah,
Come up and make your.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's all the same, y'all.
All right.
Thank you, board, for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you. My name is Jason Bliley. I'm at 406 Sabrina Circle. For a little background, I worked for the United States Department of Interior National Park Service and was lucky enough to be stationed at Montezuma Castle, Montezuma Well, Tuzigu, Arkansas Post, Grand Canyon, and Death Valley National Park units. In regards to Mount Crescent, I want you guys to take the win. I see that when you guys took over the facility in 2022, it's been an icon in our county for 60 years, but they ran into troubles and you guys came in like an economic FEMA and saved them from disappearing while hopefully you guys got other people involved in wanting to purchase the properties. I noticed today and was kind of horrified. I'm glad I live here in Council Bluffs proper. So I can see all the water tower issues that you've got and that requires money. Also see Tim over there saying, well, we do have the jail and the sheriff that need some money. Wow. I'll tell you something that happened when I was in the National Park Service that scared the hell out of me, which is the federal government has indemnity about against being sued for just about any reason. You really can't do it. But when I was in the Montezuma Castle National Park, we got sued and the judges allowed it to go through. Why?
You guys remember when you go into the bathroom, back in the nineties, we had those world dryers? Well, who would have ever thought that as the air comes out of there, water goes up? Now, this is in Arizona. We have like 1% humidity. Some kid reached their hand up there and got their fingernails chopped off by the blades of that fan. Normally, that would not have been a problem if the park unit that I worked at did not charge a fee. But because we charged a fee, that implies that the facility is safe. Mount Crescent, I'm assuming the county's not operating that as a free facility. I'm assuming you pay something to go and visit there. Ooh, man, we've got our fingers in the liability pot there like crazy. You'll all remember, of course, the person that spilled McDonald's coffee in their lap. Well, who doesn't expect coffee to be hot? They won. So when we're looking at money for the sheriff, the jail, for the positions that Mary Ann already has in her budget, woo, if we can offload Mount Crescent and get that possible can of worms off of our backs. Again, I appreciate what the board did in 2022, rescuing that. But if we've got a potential buyer, it would be my request as a citizen that you guys take advantage and please offload that. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Name and address for the record.
Actually, Miss Jessica's gonna go first.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did you got sheets filled out already?
We did. We didn't know we needed to turn it
Okay,
in.
perfect. You're up.
Jessica Saxton,
Yes.
would you like to speak behind the podium? I'm happy to do it.
Whatever you guys usually do.
I'll do it. No problem.
Freelance.
My name is Jessica Saxon. I'm a civil rights advocate and litigator from Washington, D.C. I'm here to provide a public notice in accordance with USCS Rules of Civil Procedure, as well as the Rule 17 and 20 of the United States Supreme Court. The Constitution for the United States of America is the overarching requirement that every state must follow. I don't think anyone here would disagree with that. States cannot enact their own alternative legislation in substitution for the guarantees of the Constitution. That would mean that the Constitution is not as powerful as state laws. Clause 1 of the Fifth Amendment states that no person shall be held to for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment or indictment by a grand jury. The state of Iowa has enacted its own alternative legislation that makes prosecuting attorneys, police officers, or sheriff departments charged by way of information as opposed to indictment. That is unconstitutional and it is illegal. An emolument violation is when you pay a public official to break the law. The Constitution actually has two areas that refers to this. The first is Article 1, Section 10, where it says that no state shall create any law that shall impair the obligations of contracts. So that means that police officers, your prosecutors, your judges are all under contract. It was a contract to perform based on their oath or affirmation that they took to uphold and defend the Constitution. So those contract perimeters that are defined within the Constitution of the United States would be a violation of that Article 1, Section 10 that I mentioned previously. The next one is the 14th Amendment that states that no state shall create or enforce any law that shall abridge the privileges or immunities of the United States citizens. Privileges and immunities of the United States citizens are at a very minimum those that are enumerated in the Bill of Rights and the first 10 amendments. So the state of Iowa, unfortunately, has an inferior constitution that is permitting public officials, such as your sheriff's department, to go out and charge by way of information as opposed to indictment. And unfortunately, the commissioner is paying those people to do that. So because of this, we have an unusual, unreasonable amount of people that are currently incarcerated in prison currently right now. So in the United States, we have over 700 currently in prison. That includes people that you guys have arrested here. I am here to provide notice to you publicly that if you continue to pay public officials to break the law, that there can be criminal sanctions that can be brought. We do not want that, but I must make people aware that you cannot pay people to disobey the law and commit a crime. So I'm asking you honorable individuals, if you would please look at Clause 1, Amendment 5, confirm that what I'm saying is true, and then direct the public officials that you are paid to act accordingly to the law and consistent with the Constitution and the rights that are secured there. I have a notice that I'd like to put on the record if I could.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My name's Stanley Downing, and I'm the National Civil Rights Advocate litigator that Ms. Saxon was just talking about. The reason why I'm up here is I want to just provide a little bit of clarification for you guys, right? So the reason why I'm here today is because, again, you guys pay the sheriff's department. You guys formulate the budget for the jail. You guys formulate the budget for the sheriff's department. If the sheriff is relying upon a judge providing an order because the judge relied upon a prosecutor who relied upon inferior state statute to deprive a person of rights that are guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States, that means that that sheriff is now implicated within the criminal act of deprivation of rights under color law. It is a crime. Anytime that you rely upon an inferior state statute to deprive a person of rights that they're guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States, that is a violation of Title 18, subsection 242, deprivation of rights under color law. What that says, it says that any person who, under the color of any state statute, ordinance, custom, or regulation, deprives any person of any rights secured by the Constitution commits that crime. Now, this is a per se crime, and I want you guys to understand that I have roughly 34,000 affidavits from actual victims here in the state of Iowa. And these are what's called prima facie evidence for a per se crime. It's a per se crime because we don't have to show that these public officials intended to breach their obligation. Simply by virtue of the breach of the Constitution, all elements of crime have been met because their willfulness and their knowledge derives from promise they make. Now, we don't want anybody to get into trouble. We're here because we want to inform you guys and let you guys know that there is an unconstitutional situation that is affecting a lot of states. Right now today, there's 13 states that do not conduct a grand jury. There's another 32 states that permit their prosecuting attorney to charge by information or indictments, such as the state of Iowa here. Prosecutors may not disregard the obligations that they have codified in the Constitution of the United States. And so, this is going to the United States Supreme Court. We're preparing to argue it. This is I believe stop number 9 of 55 that we're doing over the next 30 days, because we want to make sure that we bring it to you guys' attention, because you guys, as of this moment, whether you realize it or not, you are paying for crimes to be committed. You are paying for a deprivation of a constitutional right amongst your own constituents. And this is a very, very big deal. Because today, as Ms. Saxon just said, there's more than 700,000 people currently in prison here in America on direct facial constitutional violations because these states haven't followed the very, very basic procedures and processes codified and written for all to see in the Constitution of the United States for the adjudication of a crime. That's a big deal. So, I would welcome you guys to please take a look at Clause 1 of Amendment 5. Confirm the things that we're saying, and then let's direct the agents to act in lawful constitutional manner. The reason why is because once made aware, once notified of this condition, if you pay a public official one more time to commit that crime, then that goes from negligence into willful illegal acts. And there's a big change there. So we want to make sure that you guys understand that upon having been provided this notice, that you guys can go out, you can confirm the things we're saying, and then we can direct those agents to act in lawful constitutional manner. And again, there's 2 ways to mitigate your culpability once being notified under the laws of criminal conspiracy, right? Number 1 is you must notify the authorities of crimes. The proper authorities for the crime of deprivation of rights under color law is the FBI. So I would welcome you guys to contact the FBI, let them know that this is happening, and let them initiate the investigation. Number 2 is that you notify your co-conspirators of your intent to no longer participate. Whether you're willful or negligent doesn't matter. You need to notify the co-conspirators that you're no longer going to participate in it and that you're going to direct them to act in a lawful manner, or else they're not going to get paid to do the work, because that's the role that you guys play within the system of government that we have here. So the specific law with regard to conspiracy for public officials, what it says that any person who, having knowledge of any of the wrongs conspired to be done, and who have the power to prevent or aid in prevention of the commission of same, neglects or refuses to do so, may be joined to dispense the action. So I want to finish this right here. We have been received notification from Kash Patel, as well as also Senator Kennedy, who is a member of the Senate Judicial Oversight Committee, obviously. And they have let us know that any time that a state judge or a state prosecutor violates federal law, they are subject to arrest, right? This constitutional provision is absolutely federal law. There is no higher federal law than the Constitution. So we have an opportunity here to correct some actions and mitigate some unlawfulness. But it's going to require you guys to take action. So I would welcome you to do that. Thank you guys so much. God bless and have a great rest of your day.
Okay, thank you.
We're going to remain here. If you guys have any questions, we would be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Well, we're gonna go into a closed session here, so you can.
Okay, we'll step out.
Yeah, you can be in the hallway there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That sheet you gave her, is that got all the numbers and the codes and things on it?
It's in there. Yes, sir. That's the notice that I provide. I'm the litigator that will be arguing this in the United States Supreme Court. So, you know, we have 500,000 criminal affidavits from actual victims across the country, including roughly, you know, like I said, 34,000 from within the state of Iowa alone. And so, again, these are crimes that are evidenced by the affidavit alone. Prima facie evidence is sufficient by affidavit. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. I don't make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Iowa Code 21.5, parent 1, parent I, for discussion decision on personal matters.
Second.
Roll call.
Chairman Belt, Supervisor Wickman, Supervisor Jorgensen, Supervisor Shea,
Aye.
Supervisor Miller.
Hi.